Mic check, mic check. Mic check. Okay. Mic check sounds good. Video's looking solid. Let me turn this music off as we talk about this NFL draft. It is a Saturday night, a Sunday morning where I'm at. So, greetings from the great country of Korea. Shout out to everybody who's tuning in on this Saturday night, Noles After Dark. We got some draft stuff, some portal stuff. We just got a bunch of stuff we can talk about tonight. I don't know how long I'm going. I'm just going to go. So what is going on, everybody? It is your boy POLK, a.k.a. a.k.a. the goddamn truth. And you on the livest show. Well, we're going to get back to being the livest show on YouTube / Twitter / whatever other platform you find me on. Most interactive show. So hit that like button on the way in. Share the video. Let everybody know we live. We're going to chop it up here tonight. Like I said, man, a lot of interesting stuff happened in the draft, man. One fan base might not be in here. So, you know how that goes. FSU had a good showing. So I want to talk about, obviously, we're going to talk about all these Noles that got drafted and how the transfer portal may or may not be looking. All of that good stuff, man. So without any further ado, again, y'all get in the comments section. Y'all hit the like, share the video. Right now, we got a pretty even audience right now. You got 20 people following on Twitter right now, 26 on YouTube. We'll see if those numbers go up. But I do want to say, man, I think Mike Norvell came out of this NFL draft, the 2024 NFL draft. And Mike Norvell and the Seminoles, they came out with some stuff that they can sell. I mean, a very good showing. And I think Mike came out looking like, well, I ain't going to tell you what he came out looking like. We got prime footage. We got basically an instant reaction. And I'm going to show it. I might be the first person actually showing this. Y'all know me. I'm just a light-skinned dude on YouTube, but this is kind of breaking stuff right here. Mike Norvell's immediate reaction at the conclusion of the NFL draft and the way he's feeling and the message he sent to all the upcoming portal players, high schoolers. I'm going to drop off and I'm going to let y'all hear from Norvell. Give me 1 second. That's legit live reaction from the man himself, man. So that's how Mike's feeling. That's how the staff's feeling. That's good stuff from Norvell. Shout out to Norvell. But, man, let's not waste no more time. Let's get into it, man. We're going to go by each guy. So at this point, y'all already know FSU's first round pick, the one and only Jarrett Verse. I said that I would be probably going to whatever team picked Jarrett Verse. If you don't know, I don't have a NFL team. I don't have an NFL team that I root for. I just watch the NFL, but there's not a team that I invested in. Well, what the Rams decided to do on draft day, I might need to buy me a LA Rams jersey at this point because they picked Verse at 19, and then they picked Braden Fisk at 39. So Aaron Donald retires, and you know what they decide to do? They say, we're going to revamp this defensive line, and we're going to do it in the draft. And shout out to the Rams for picking 2 Noles. I thought Fisk, I think just if we're just talking about where the guys go where we expected them to go, yeah, I think Verse definitely went. You remember when I did the draft combine video? You can go pull the receipts. I don't quite remember everything I said in that video. I didn't go back and watch it. But I think I said Verse was a 10 pick from the 10th pick down. So for him to go 19, I don't think is shocking or shouldn't be shocking to anybody. Fisk, I thought, worked his way after the combine into that early second round. So those two guys, I mean, Fisk obviously made a lot of money in that combine. He probably went from being like, I don't know where he was projected at Western Michigan, but he probably went from being a guy who was a no-name to a household name by the end of his tenure at FSU. And then obviously with that combine, the combine numbers only match the tape. So that's where you see Fisk landing where he eventually landed. So shout out to those two Seminoles and shout out to the Rams. As you can see, I kind of got some Rams colors going on here on the shirt. This is all I could find. The blue and the gold. So, yeah, we're rooting for the Rams next year. It just is what it is. Shout out to the Rams. Keon. Let's go to Keon, man. Keon, in the middle of those two, you got Keon Coleman, who's the first pick of the second round. Dropped out of the first. Again, I don't quite remember what I said in my NFL Combine video, but I think I kind of called the drop for Keon. But that's okay. I think Keon goes to a very good situation in Buffalo, having Josh Allen throw him the ball. The Buffalo, do they still have I don't follow all the NFL free agency stuff. Is Diggs still in Buffalo? I'm not sure. Maybe. I feel like I've heard he got moved or something like that. I don't remember, but it's going to be interesting to see how they use him. Obviously, Keon Coleman, Josh Allen has this big arm, but Keon's not really an over-the-top guy. But that doesn't mean he can't be a great all-around receiver. Again, good pick for Buffalo. He goes the first pick in this. Diggs went to Houston. That's what I thought. Or I know he left. I just didn't know where he went. So they're looking to replace him. So it's going to be interesting to see how he can replace him. But that's a good pick. That's a good pick. So Keon should definitely touch the field day one. And he's playing with an established quarterback. He's playing with a team. That's a good pick. That's a good move. So for Keon, he's playing with a team with some playoff aspirations. Whereas the Rams are kind of looking to rebuild. In recent years, the Rams got rid of Ramsey. Aaron Donald has retired. The Rams are kind of trying to revamp that defense and kind of get back into playoff contention. Keon kind of goes to a ready-made situation. So it's going to be very interesting to see. It's going to be interesting to see how he fits in. But I think he fits in very well. I don't think I showed Keon's graphic. But I think Keon fits in very well with the Buffalo Bills. So shout out to Keon. Renardo Green, man. This one was so after you had Jared Verse, Keon Coleman, and Braden Fisk, like everything else was kind of up in the air. Like Renardo Green, Trey Benson, where did they kind of land? Even Jerry and Jones. We'll get to all of these guys, but Renardo Green being the fourth Nole off the board, I probably pre-draft would have expected that to be Trey Benson, but I'm not shocked. I'm interested that the 49ers took him. A lot of people said Renardo Green might have been the best, man-to-man guy in this draft. At Pitt 64. But Renardo Green goes, what is that? Pick 64, round 2, Green lands. So that's, as of right now, 4 FSU players in the top 100. Again, he's going to go to a team. This is another Nole going to a team kind of established. I don't know what it is about these West Coast teams, but you got the Rams, the 49ers, all taking Seminoles. The 49ers actually pick another Nole later on, but we'll get to that one. A lot of West Coast Noles going on, including an undrafted free agent going to the West Coast to team up with some more Noles. So the West Coast loves them some Seminoles. And, Bernardo Green going to the 49ers. Again, another solid acquisition. I'd be interested to see how some of these picks are graded. But as of the first 4 picks, I think all of those guys went to good situations, right? I think you can justify like all of those picks. Then you go 2 picks later and Trey Benson goes to the Cardinals. Now, the unfortunate part is it's the Cardinals. It's the Cardinals. Trey Benson was the second running back taken off the board. But at the end of the day, you got a guy who's an athlete, obviously a big back, and I don't know how he fits with the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona's I don't even know. I don't even know where I stand on the type of franchise. Well, historically, they have not been a great franchise. And I think Kyler Murray, if I'm not mistaken, was hurt all of last year. I'm just looking up some of their stuff because I'm trying to see how would Trey fit with this. How would he fit with this franchise? And I'm not 100% sure how he fits with this franchise, to be quite honest with you. Arizona went 4-13 last year. Let's just look up stats. Who did what? Does Trey Benson come in and see immediate playing time at Arizona? I mean, a 4-13 record kind of says you do. So that James Conner, who ran for 1,000 yards. Kyler Murray did play, but again, Joshua Dobbs played a big portion of the season as well. So obviously, you got to get the quarterback situation squared away, and that just comes with hopefully that Kyler Murray can stay, because he only played 8 games, and then Dobbs played the other 8 games. So they essentially both played half the season. You need Kyler Murray to play an entire season. Now, Kyler Murray was 10 TDs, 5 interceptions. But he was sacked 18 times in 8 games. But we don't care about that. From the looks of it, I think Trey Benson definitely gets on the field. Outside of James Conner, who had 5 yards per carry on 208 5 yards per carry with 208 carries. But the next guy only gets 58 carries. I think there's a lot of room for Trey Benson to get in there and compete right away for I didn't realize Trey Benson was still up here. Get in there right away for some immediate playing time. One of the biggest surprises in the draft, in my opinion, one of the biggest surprises. Let me go to the comment section. Yeah, we've covered the first, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we covered the first 5 picks. There's obviously 10 Noles that got drafted. So I'll go to the comments, and then we'll get right back to the rest of the draft. Let me start here. Mike got his proof of product now. Excited for the draftees. Yep. Man, I want to see Green in Jacksonville. Ronaldo was literally the best in college football at man-to-man. Ronaldo was a surprise high pick to me. FSU had 6 picks in the first 3 rounds. Man, these Florida teams don't draft homegrown guys. The Bucks were drafting O-lineman and tight end from Washington. Isn't Arizona a hot mess? It looks like they're a hot mess. They need a wide receiver. Almighty Finn, what's going on? He says, "Hey, POLK, I hate your opinion of the Florida AG. POLK, I hate your opinion of the Florida AG siding into the ACC. I don't even know what you're trying to say here. I think there's a bunch of typos in this. Come back. Let me know what you're trying to say." Jerk says he doesn't start, but he's the only home run hitter they got. Talking about Trey Benson, I'm sure. There we go. What's your opinion on the Florida Attorney General? I think he's suing the ACC as well. Hey man, it's gonna be a long, drawn out process, like we said. All right, let's do it. Imagine coming. Jurgen, you're smarter than that. You know why nobody was talking about it until a certain little troll showed up. That's why they're talking about. Because this guy shows up all the time and starts talking foolishness. That's why. But anyway, let's go to the next 5 picks. Jerry Jones, man. To me, if you would have told me a year ago, if you would have told me damn sure 2 years ago that Jerry Jones would have been a top 100 pick, I would have laughed at you. Called you said you don't know anything about the sport. Called you a homer, because obviously would have to be a Florida State fan to say something like this, and called you all. I would have called you all kinds of names. And Jacksonville decided at the 96th pick to take Jerry Jones. And a lot of that, I think, had to do with the fact that he's an athlete, and I think a lot of that had to do with his last year, by far his best year in college, and then he tested extremely well at the NFL Combine. I think Jacksonville, again, not a Jacksonville. I don't follow them, so I don't know everything about them, obviously. But I think they were looking to upgrade their secondary in this draft, and we'll see what Jerry Jones does. How they use him, I think he can be effective if used a certain way. I hope they don't try to make him. I hope they don't try to put him out there on an island and ask him to be a man-to-man guy, shutdown guy. We know that's not his game, right? But I don't know. I don't even know what kind of defensive scheme the Jaguars run. Again, I don't pay attention to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of Jaguars fans in this comment section, so y'all can tell me how y'all plan on using Jerry Jones. Because I have no idea. This one might be the biggest. Some people aren't surprised. I get it. But Jordan Travis going number 5, I thought was, you got talking about coming off of an injury, didn't participate in pro days, didn't participate in the combine, obviously. But I'm pretty sure he went out there and interviewed very well, and talking to NFL teams. Obviously, the consummate professional. I just didn't think a team, and this is the Jets, by the way, that not exactly the pinnacle of NFL franchises. But I don't want to use that to diminish Jordan Travis being picked in the 5th round and actually getting drafted, because I thought a team would pick him up as an undrafted free agent. I did not think a team would actually use a pick on him. So shout out to JT, man. I love to see it. I love to see that he's going to get an opportunity. Obviously, I think Aaron Rodgers is still in New York, tore his Achilles last year or something, and is Zach Wilson still there? So who knows how that situation in New York pans out. Jordan Travis could be a 10-year pro and never take a snap, just because he'll be the consummate professional. He'll have one of the best jobs in football, and that's that being that that backup quarterback. And if he's smart enough to hold the clipboard, do all the things that the backup quarterback does. So Very possible that JT is in the. Zach Wilson's gone. See, I didn't know that. Very possible that JT has a chance to be a very solid pro. So I'm surprised that he got drafted. To be quite honest with you, another it's like these picks that came in the back half of the draft for the Seminoles. I'm surprised Johnny Wilson fell as far as he did. Now I know Johnny Wilson had a lot of red flags with him. But I thought his size and his athleticism would make teams ignore the red flags. It did not, though. Man fell all the way to the 6th round, pick 185. But goes to a good situation in Philly. He is still a physical specimen, but obviously I think the red flags kind of trump the physicality. Also being injured, I don't think helped him, obviously, in his final year at Florida State. So I was a little surprised that Johnny fell to the 6th round. Now, if you would have told me Johnny was a 4th rounder or 5th rounder, I would have been right there with you. When he fell to the 6th round, I was a little like, dang, especially in this league that values the wide receiver position the way it does. I mean, Jacksonville took a receiver in the 1st round that, in my opinion, has no business being taken that high. You could argue that a lot of the LSU receivers kind of got drafted too high, in my humble opinion. I was never high, even when they were playing FSU the first 2 games of the past 2 seasons, and everybody kept saying, man, these guys are amazing. And FSU just kept shutting these receivers down. So I've never been too high on any of the LSU receivers. But I'm only saying that to say I thought that with the way the receivers are kind of graded out here, I thought Johnny would be more valued. But he wasn't. So he falls all the way to 6. And Jerry said they got to move him to time in by all time is said and done. That may very well happen. We'll see how that works out for him. If you remember correctly, I'm not too shocked about this one right here. And the problem with Jaheim Bell is he's not big. Shout out Jaheim Bell. He goes into round 7 to the Patriots. But if you remember, I thought Jaheim Bell should have came back to the excuse me. I thought Jaheim Bell should have came back. Because his measurables were a lot smaller than I think a lot of people anticipated. So we'll see. We'll see how he pans out. I'm not too shocked about Jaheim. Wish him the best, but there's a lot to be desired. There was a lot to be desired with Jaheim. And then when his measurables came back, it was kind of like, we'll see how that. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, we'll see. And then the last last Nole to get picked to the 49ers is Tatum Bethune. And that's a dope pick for that's a good pick. A late pick. Obviously, we're looking at a guy who's going to play mainly special teams. He'll have a chance to compete or whatever. Obviously, he's not. Fred Warner plays there. This is like, obviously, you're not asking Taylor Bethune to come in and do anything spectacular for you. But you have a guy who you can put on the special teams. It'd be, a good special teams player. If you told me who was the better NFL prospect between Bethune and Deloach, I'm not surprised at this pick. There's a little bit to be desired. I said this in my combine review that I thought that the linebackers would fall. And I actually was pretty sure that we'd have two undrafted linebackers, but one did get drafted. The other one, however, looks like he's signing with the Bucks, and that's Kalen DeLoach. He's going to sign with the Bucks. Makes a lot of sense that he'll go play with the Bucks. Bucks usually take linebackers in that mold of a Kalen DeLoach. Akeem Dent decides he's going to go play with some other Noles in L.A., but not the Rams, the Chargers. So he'll go team up with your boy Derwin Asante, and we'll see if he can make a roster there. I think that's a good move right there for Akeem Dent. And I feel like I'm missing somebody. Fabo's going to Kansas City, which I actually think is a really good move for him. I think that is a good situation for Fabo to be in right there. Fabo in Kansas City. And that just kind of, I mean, we spent 30-some plus on minutes, but that's the NFL draft in the nutshell right there, man, for you Seminoles. So what do y'all think? I'm going pick by pick and all that stuff, but what do y'all think in the comment section? Get in the comment section, let me know. How'd your team do? Are you happy with the way with your team's draft? That's number one. Number two, how do you feel the Noles did in the draft? And were there any surprises? Any guys that you felt like fell and shouldn't have fell? Guys that should have been higher? And then we'll move on to some other stuff. But we'll get back to the comments. What's up, Tyler? He said that's a good situation for Johnny up in Philly. Grandmaster says, I know we're talking about our guys right now, but did you see some of those QBs that went round one? We'll talk about the entirety. Yeah, we can. I want to get to the Noles, but absolutely, we can talk about the draft. Just matter of fact, let me bring it up, and just some of these draft picks in general. But we had to cover the Seminoles first, absolutely. But I got you. I get it, Jerg. But whenever you needed it and had to have it, Johnny made the plays to get us. Birdman going to the Eagles. I saw DeLoach listed as a safety. I hope not. I don't know. I hope not. I absolutely hope that's not the case. That is 13. Is 1, 2. Yeah, that's 13 players total right now on NFL rosters. And you still got Casey Roddick, and you still potentially got Meach, who could have a chance to make an NFL roster as well. So there's still a chance for some other Noles to get an opportunity. 2 O-linemen, potentially. My Panthers did a solid, plus we got some solid. I wonder if Terrence feels the same way. But Terrence is a Panther fan, but he's usually very grumpy Panther fan. But my Cards did pretty good. Got a no. Cowboys did average. You're a Cowboy fan. I apologize. Jaheim should have returned. Seminoles did really good in the draft. I think Johnny Wilson should have went into 4th. I think the majority of the picks were good situations. I do too. I actually agree with you, Matt. I think if you actually look at the totality of the draft, I don't think anybody went to any situations where you're like, no, that's just a bad pick. I think everybody went to some really copacetic situations where, I mean, you take a verse in the first round, you're asking him to be that guy. Coleman, you're asking him to be that guy. Fisk, you're asking him to be one of those guys with the top 3 picks. But yeah, I agree. I don't think anybody was picked in a situation where you're like, oh man, I don't know if he fits that team and fits what they're going to ask him to do. Falcons lost the draft. Falcons have been losing drafts. Jurgen, I don't know if you're still in the chat, Jurg. When me and Jurg told y'all about Kyle Pitts you took a tight end 4th, and there's a lot of people in this exact chat who were defending that pick. We've come full circle. And now all of a sudden everybody hates the Penix pick. I don't know if the Penix pick is going to be – look, quarterbacks obviously are what they are. Me personally, I don't have a problem with the Penix pick. My problem with the Falcons is there doesn't seem to be any direction and what the hell they're trying to accomplish as a franchise. Instead of taking Kyle Pitts, you probably should have picked your quarterback back then, but whatever. Bucks had a good draft. Jerk, do you feel the same? Peter says Bucks had a good draft. With all these players drafted, ain't no way we shouldn't have been in that. Hey, you're preaching to the choir right there, my man. We will talk a little. I don't want to talk too much about Miami because then someone will get offended and go, "Why are you talking about Miami? I'm with someone else." No. So I don't disagree with you. Be honest with you, I don't disagree with that at all. I wanted Jaheim to return for selfish reasons. It's not going to improve his draft stock. I 100% agree with that. Jaheim returning has nothing to do with him being drafted higher. Like you said, he is who he is. But I would have liked to keep him, obviously, for FSU's own selfish reasons. It has nothing to do with him. That's just how I felt. Jaheim should have came back so we have a better tight end room. But absolutely, he wasn't going to improve his draft stock. Grumpy is an understatement. Bucks had a top 5 draft class. Okay. They said Pitts was offensive weapon number 1. Crazy how many guys got drafted over JT. I was told he was the only player worth a damn. If you take that narrative, absolutely, right? You would think JT would have been the number 1 overall pick the way they tried to justify leaving us out of the playoff. With that said, in all seriousness, I'm just glad he got drafted because I didn't think he would be. I do agree. You have Kirk, but Kirk's old. What are you really getting out of Kirk? Penix I think he's a little older too. But still, man, you can let Penix. There's talks about him not being that durable. Maybe have Penix, learn for a couple years. I understand the whole we got Kirk thing, but I mean, you've seen no team does it better than the Packers. You've seen what the Packers and how they manage quarterback situations. When they got that old aging vet, what do? We got Brett Favre. They made a transition to Aaron Rodgers, and then you have Rodgers and they who's the quarterback now, man? I forget his name, but it seems to have worked out for the Packers, which is my point. Man, who's the Packers quarterback, y'all? I'm really drawing a blank right now. That's crazy. Let me just Google Packers QB because I'm tripping. Being over here in Korea, Jordan Love. Being over here in Korea don't help me. But and Jordan Love seems to be playing a good football. At least he did last year, right? So Packers have kind of showed the mold here. When that guy's aging and you have an aging quarterback, get you a quarterback that you're going to sit for a couple years. And maybe that's the plan with the Atlanta Falcons. Maybe that's what they'll do with Penix. I don't know that, but it seems to me like maybe that's what they'll try to do. Absolutely. We'll be rooting for the LA Rams this year. What's up, Chris? Okay, keep me posted on that. Appreciate you. Good to see you, Chris. Yeah, basically what I'm saying, right? Penix is 24. You got Kirk, and Kirk only signed a 2-year, $100 million. Right then, Kirk only signed a 2-year deal. So you got Kirk, Penix 6 for 2. At the age of 26, Penix comes in there. I mean, come on, Falcons fans. It's not that big a deal. It's not that big a deal, right? Trotter. I'm not surprised about Trotter. I always said the other linebacker at Clemson was better than Trotter. That was just on me. It's Kirk on a 4-year deal. Well, it'll probably be 2, and then I'm pretty sure something after 2 they'll be able to cut Kirk and get him up out of there or whatever the case. You know how the NFL works. None of that money's guaranteed. Anyway, let's talk about the actual. Let's just talk about the draft as a whole. That's what I want to do. So we'll just go. We ain't gonna go. Obviously, we ain't going all 7 rounds, but I do want to cover obviously the first round. Caleb Williams to the Bears. What do y'all think about Caleb Williams to the Bears? What does that mean for Justin Fields? Are y'all a fan of Caleb Williams? Do y'all think Caleb Williams is going to be just what are y'all thoughts? Like, what are y'all thoughts on Caleb Williams? I'll be honest with you. My stance never changed. When everybody talked about who was QB1 of this class, I was always a Drake May guy. I am still a Drake May guy, believe it or not. They traded Justin Fields, man. See, that's how y'all know I don't pay attention to the NFL. I had no idea they traded Justin Fields to the freaking Steelers. Good for Justin Fields. I had zero clue. With that said, Drake May was always my top QB coming out of this draft. So I don't know, man. I don't look at Fields. Sorry, Caleb Williams, man. Arm talent. He's got it, but I think he lacks some other qualities that may get exposed at the NFL level. But we'll see. It's the Bears. The Bears ruin every quarterback they take. So the odds are Caleb Williams will be a bust, and the Bears will be picking another quarterback in 2 to 3 years, if not sooner. Jane Daniels at numbers 2 to me is a shocker. To me, it's a shocker. Great college quarterback, put up a lot of stats. I do not think his game translates to the league. I am kind of shocked that NFL teams thought of him that highly. That's just me, man. That's legit me. To me, Daniels, I don't. Like, shout out to him, number 2 pick, Washington. But that's another franchise that is it a shocker that some of these franchises that we're looking at are always picking in the top 10? Washington Commanders, formerly known as the Redskins, being one of them. I think that is a reach. I'm just gonna be honest with y'all. I don't think his game translates to the league. You're talking about a guy who I don't know. I don't. Jane Daniels might not make it past week 4. He's gonna get hurt unless he completely revamps the way he plays the quarterback position. That stuff he was doing in college, I'm not so sure. Caleb Williams may be too immature to handle the league. Won't be because of the talent. I think Daniels is a bust. Jaden wasn't a shocker for me, ? It was for me. If it wasn't for you, awesome. I just don't think it's just me though. He could end up being the best one in the class. Who knows? I just don't know. Penix would be the best of the bunch. Again, I do not think that Penix pick was a bad pick. Everybody makes a big deal on that Penix pick, and I'm the opposite. I think that was a good pick. I think they did take Sam Howell. It wasn't the first round though. Let's keep moving then, obviously. And then my man Drake May went to New England. We'll see. New England post Tom Brady has kind of been a dumpster fire. So that's not necessarily a healthy franchise right now. We'll see how he does up there. Marvin Harrison goes to Arizona. Pretty decent draft when you talk about skill positions for the Cardinals. Obviously, they just got their running back in Trey Benson. But then you pick up wide receiver number 1 for Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. That Arizona offense could be very dynamic going forward next couple years. So Arizona might have had a very sneaky good class. I don't know if there's any. I think there is at least one Cardinal fan in the comment section. So shout out to the Cardinals. Yeah. Joe Alt. Look, anytime you take an offensive lineman, Joe Alt specifically. Man, hold on. My phone keeps going off. Joe Alt, I mean, his measurables are. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. I don't know. I think you have a guy who might end up being a solid pro. I don't know if I see like franchise superstar O tackle. But he's, I mean, at 6'9", right? 10-inch hands. Good pick for the Chargers, right? Good pick. Not a bad pick. Not a bad pick. Neighbors. I already talked about these LSU receivers. Neighbors goes number 6 to New York. J.C. Latham out of Alabama to the Tennessee Titans. Penix. We already talked a bunch about Penix. Rome goes to the Bears. So the Bears giving Caleb Williams a number 1 receiver. Here's the biggest question. Between Rome, Neighbors, Marvin Harrison, what are y'all thinking about the top receivers? Who's the best out of that bunch? I think that's a decent question. I've heard a lot of different opinions between Marvin Harrison, Rome, and Malik Neighbors. Out of those 3, I'd have Malik 3. It's very interesting between Rome. I'm going to say Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome, and Neighbors. Though I know a lot of people are really high on Adunze. Am I saying? Yeah, Adunze. Man, hold on. Let me check. I'm getting a bunch of messages. All right. Let's see. Joe says this QB class is gonna be one where none of the hype up QBs will pan out, but the late round undrafted QBs will be the stars of the class. Best pick was Denver taking Bo Nix. Kuiper did say Cards had the best draft by far. Time for Midget Murray to step up. Neighbors is overrated. I wouldn't have taken Adunze over Keon. Harrison, and Coleman Harrison. Bears already have the number 1 wide receiver, DJ Moore. Rome would be number 2, with Keon Allen being a slot guy. Sure. To start off the season, you're absolutely right. But they you take a wide receiver at the top 10, your expectations for him to be the number 1 guy. And DJ Moore, a good wide receiver, but the expectation will be for Rome to eventually be the number 1 guy. So you took him to be the number 1 guy. It doesn't mean he'll be the number 1 guy from Jump Street, obviously, as a freshman. J.J. McCartney to the Minnesota Vikings. This was the quarterback that had like some of the biggest like evaluation shifts on him. He went from kind of being thought as like trash, and then after he wins the Natty, and I don't know, man. I don't know. NFL teams seem to like him. He goes top 10. J.J. McCarthy to me is He's man, what's the quarterback from Missouri a few years back? Gabers. I think that was his name. Like that's what I see when I look at McCarthy. I don't see it. The Jets take. I'm not even going to try to pronounce Buddy's name, but they take an offensive tackle out of Penn State. Bo Nix, man. Bo Nix going to Denver. I'm gonna be honest with you on this. Bo Nix may have had the best situation when he moved from Auburn to Oregon, and he put up all those great numbers at Oregon with that great team around him. Good for Bo Nix. I'm gonna tell you something. Bo Nix. I hope Denver has it figured. Denver is another franchise, man, that's going in the dirt. They took Bo Nix, but shout out to Bo Nix. Brock Bowers is a big name, man. He's going to the Raiders. I'm just going to start skimming through some of these things. Dallas Turner goes to the Vikings. Amarius Mims to the Bengals. Shout out to Mims. Chop Robinson to the Dolphins. Brian Thomas to the Jaguars. I wasn't so sure. I don't understand why Jacksonville made that particular pick. You had Terry and Arnold there at that spot. I thought they were going to go Nate Wiggins, who ended up going to the Ravens. The Ravens, that's a franchise that always seems to pick the right guy. Ricky Pearsall, I think he's the only Gator that got drafted in this draft, but he goes to the 49ers as they continue to load up. And then Xavier Leggett goes to the Panthers. So that kind of rounds out the first round. The first round. The media was lying for JJ. Literally no reason. I do like Ricky. I like Ricky too, to be honest with you. I mean, I can, you can say that now that he's no longer wearing orange and blue. But I like Ricky too. They said like only 2 of the highly drafted wide receivers in the past couple of years were busts. I think most of the wide receivers will be pretty decent. It almost feels too obvious with McCarthy. It makes me second guess my opinion on him. Kenny Pickett. Bo Nix came out of nowhere. Ryan Leaf. McCarthy is Brock Purdy 2.0. Yeah, except Brock Purdy went last in the draft. The 49ers got their money was worth. Like, they got a huge value pick out of Brock Purdy, where the Vikings just took this man top 10. What do you think about the Patriots taking Drake May and Joe Milton? I didn't know they drafted. I know they drafted May. I had no idea about the Joe Milton thing. But Milton to me is how do I say this about Joe Milton, man? You're talking about a quarterback. Like, if you just put Joe Milton on the field and said throw the ball, like, he's gonna look. Joe Milton has no intangibles to play that position. Leggett's not better than Keon. I probably agree with that. Junior man was good with you. Why the Niners got so many receivers? I think they were trying. That was the draft buzz, if I'm not mistaken. They were trying to get rid of Debo and their other other wide receiver. Who did you get drafted? No, Cam got drafted. James got drafted. and Matt Lee got drafted. I think those are the only three. I don't know if Cohen got drafted. So I'm pretty sure if there's a Miami fan, they can correct me. I know for a fact those three got drafted. JJ equals Cousins. Glad Keon didn't end up with any. I can agree with that. Lakers playing like they don't want to go home. Good for the Lakers. My Knicks are up. I think my Knicks don't play till tomorrow. Speaking of that, let's look at that real quick. Right now, Lakers, Nuggets, 70-55. LA's up 70-55 on the Nuggets. So I guess they don't want to get swept. The Heat got beat by 20. They're down 1-2 in the series. For all those Heat fans. They went 14 picks before drafting a defense. Who's that? Who went 14 picks before drafting a defensive player? All right. So caught up in the comments. But that's the big stuff from this weekend, man. That's the draft again. And Fabo goes to Kansas City. Dent goes to the Chargers. D'Lo to the Bucks. Meek and Roddick, right? They're still out there, so we'll see what happens with them if they get an opportunity to get picked up. And then, I don't really want to do this, and I don't think I should do it because I don't see any Miami fans in the chat. And I'm so surprised at that. Tate is going to be Tate who? Who? Tate who? After day 2, I was looking to see where my Noel family got drafted. Hopefully this helps with recruiting. Okay, I think I'm back. Am I back? Can y'all hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can see me or hear me. My Korean internet decided to die on me, I think, for a second. Like it completely died on me, but I think I'm back. Thumbs up. Okay. Joe says I'm back. I'm back. All right, cool. Man, I don't even know what I was talking about. But what I was gonna talk about was the whole, this whole thing about the portal and recruiting, and there was a team. Or there were. Let me say this: there were fans of a team, and the content. I'll say that the fans of said team, they were telling everybody in the offseason last year about how talented that their team was. And that if you stack up the recruiting rankings compared to Florida State's recruiting rankings, and I don't have to say this team's name, so I'm just speaking. If you can catch my drift, please ride the wave. But anyway, the fans of this team, right, they're saying these things, and they're saying, if you stack up recruiting rankings next to this Florida State's recruiting rankings, like we're way more talented. They have all these guys that I don't even think is that good. they're not getting all these players drafted. They got a bunch of bums. The only players that are going to get drafted are their portal guys because they don't develop any of the homegrown guys. And they even went as far as to negatively recruit Florida State by using said tactics. Like the coaching staff was actually their beat writers. They were negatively trying to recruit FSU by using these narratives. And again, I don't have to say the team's name. FSU's first 3 picks were indeed transfer portal guys. However, Renardo Green, homegrown talent, is picked higher than any player on that other team that I'm referring to, including another DB in the same class who was a college All-American. They hyped up like this guy. And again, I don't have to say names because just speaking anonymously here. I don't have to say names. But there's the other guy, man. He's a college All-American. Apparently, he was the best safety in the country. Ronaldo Green got picked before him. Fast forward a year later, I want you to pay attention to that team that, again, I'm not going to say their name, and how they are now attacking the transfer portal a year later. See, all these trolls, all this stuff, it comes at you full circle, which is why I've been saying we got to stop the whole portal versus high school recruiting debate, because it all rolls into one big ball anyway. The transfer portal is recruiting. It's just recruiting, just a different, it involves maybe different layers or different tactics to recruit transfer portal guys. But it's all recruiting. All of it. And it all matters. And which is why I say I don't believe one's more important than the other. Because FSU just 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't count Jarian Jones as a portal guy. I don't count Jordan Travis. I mean, you talk about Jarian and Jordan Travis. We all know those guys were here from Jump Street. So I don't count those guys as transfer portal guys, personally. But Jarrett Verse, Keon Coleman, Braden Fisk, Trey Benson, Johnny, Jaheim, and Bethune. All of those guys not only got drafted, but had helped your team go 13-0. So you can say, though, you got a team of mercenaries and whatever it is you want to say. They went 13-0 in the regular season, got screwed out of a playoff spot. The draft simply shows you the team was more than just Jordan Travis. Regardless of what anybody tried to tell you, the team was more than Jordan Travis. More than Jordan Travis. Hopefully this ends the whole how you build a team thing. Now, I will say this, because I'm going to compare these two. And again, it's interesting because I don't see any Miami fans in the chat. So that tells me they understand how this looks, because we know how Miami fans are. They only show up when something positive is happening. And the draft was not positive for them in any aspect. Leonard Taylor, in my opinion, I compared him to Marvin Wilson. When you talk about two guys who at one point were considered first-round defensive tackle locks, to only fast forward a year later and completely drop out of the draft is crazy. It just depends on who you look at. It depends on what scouting services you believe, but it's crazy that they go from that to where they ended up. COVID probably played a bigger part in Marvin Wilson's decline. Leonard Taylor, I don't know what happened to Leonard Taylor. I don't know if it's a product of him not being healthy. I don't know if it's a product of him. Um, were there some underlying things that we don't know about that NFL teams were able to discover? I mean, it's crazy to think that Leonard, James, Cohen, Matt Lee, Cam Kitchens, all of those guys fell. I think Kitchens is the only one that when Cam Kitchens, I think he went in the third round. I could be mistaken. I think Cam Kitchens went in the third round. Can anybody verify that? I'll verify it. Don't worry about it. I think Cam Kitchens went in the third round. He did. He was the second to last pick in the third round. It's crazy to see that those guys dropped that far. In all seriousness, like I'm poking a little fun at Miami fans right now, but in all seriousness, James was always an issue because I don't believe there was ever a real position for him. The NFL lists him as a linebacker. I don't know if he's a linebacker. Pretty sure he's not a safety. Very interesting prospect. He's always been a very interesting prospect. But I've watched the man play for 3 years now, and James has always left a lot on the field, in my opinion, to be desired to be that big. I don't know, man. Miami fans, please feel free to give your reasoning for why your players fell in the draft. Is it a development issue? I get told that y'all develop. Is it a development issue? Is it just a player issue? Those players didn't take the call. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing a lot of Miami fans spread the narrative. I don't know how true it is that the players didn't take the combine. James Williams, Cameron Kitchen, Leonard Taylor, they just didn't take the combine serious. They're lazy. It's just amazing that how quickly the fans will turn on a player, boy. Because again, you rewind a year ago, and they told me these guys were the best players in the country. Leonard Taylor did sign with the Jets. I did see that. James Williams, by the way, got drafted to the Tennessee Titans. I'm tired of these recruiting services trying to one-up each other on social media, comparing different stats on whose 5 stars got drafted earlier. James Williams got drafted 7th round. Him and Jarvis Brownlee are teammates in Tennessee now. How the F either got drafted. What round did Jarvis Brownlee get drafted in? Actually, I wasn't even paying attention to Jarvis Brownlee. Shout out to Jarvis Brownlee. That's another guy who... let me look that up real quick. I had no idea Jarvis Brownlee even got drafted. Honestly, was paying him no attention. But since you bring him up, Jarvis Brownlee. He went in the 5th round. Okay, good for him. Taylor signed with the Jets. Yeah, Taylor signed with the Jets. POLK. We got a revenge when we play y'all. We live in your head rent free. Okay, John. Okay. So you had, Florida only had Ricky picked. I don't even know who else Florida had eligible to be drafted, to be honest with you. But it's kind of crazy when you look at Billy Napier and you look at the amount of talent that he's had on this team in his tenure and the fact that Florida's going on their 3rd losing season, or they're just coming off of their 3rd straight losing season, right? Dan Mullen. Yeah. They're going into what would probably be their 4th straight losing season this year. 1st round pick quarterback, 1st round pick receiver, multiple draft picks along the defensive side of the ball under Billy. Billy inherited a a decently, a decent team in terms of talent. I don't know, man. Who's worse, man? What Billy's got going on, or Mario? I'll tell you who makes it worse. The fans make it worse. My Panthers signed. Yeah, I saw D Mac to the Panthers. Um, Cam Ward's draft stock is dropping as we speak. Probably not wrong. We'll see what happens with Cam Ward. And Miami did pick up the Oregon State running back. I forget his name. Martinez, I think is his last name. Miami did pick him up today out of the transfer portal. Again, starting running back is going to be a transfer portal. Starting quarterback be in the transfer portal. Miami, all of a sudden, after saying the portal and we develop our own, well, come to find out, you didn't develop your own. You got your own almost undrafted. So now Miami is saying, well, we got to revamp this, and so they're going to the portal. So shout out to the Hurricanes there going to the transfer portal. Yeah. Shout out to them. Where do you think Mertz goes next year? Shallower QB class. He might go higher than expected. Mertz, I think I said this. The problem with Mertz is he isn't a program changer, but Mertz actually played solid last year. He did what they needed him to do. Just the team isn't very good. I think probably the same thing's going to happen this year. I actually said, if you look at Florida State, and Miami, Florida has the better QB situation, in my opinion, of the three, because the other two schools don't really know what they're getting. Mertz is going into his second season as the quarterback, so that just says that he'll probably be better. Where he gets drafted, no freaking clue. Again, I don't know if he has anything. I don't think Mertz has anything that will propel him. And with Florida probably not being that good, I don't, But we'll see what happens with Mertz. Next year's QB class is looking like a Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, Shadur Sanders. And I'm not even sure. I feel like I'm forgetting somebody. But at least those three, I think, as of right now, as it stands, are probably the top three. Ward and Martinez gonna shred y'all. What's up, Terrell? How you feel about the third? Well, 10 got drafted. 13 is gonna end up on rosters, but only 10 got drafted. And again, man, we feel good. I think a lot of guys went to some good situations. So the draft is good. I think Colorado. I'm just kind of spitting stuff out right now. I think Colorado had their spring game today. Transfer portal stuff. FSU's been very quiet in the portal. I know recently we had no real big names hit. I think Jaden Floyd hit the transfer portal. If you don't know him, he had a YouTube channel. He probably still has it. But I think he hit the portal. That's the only big name. And again, when I say big name, you know what I mean? Like, that's probably the only name that people will recognize that I think has hit the portal recently. And I'm still interested to see where FSU goes. If they go into the portal, it's been very quiet with the portal stuff with Florida State. I feel like we were expecting more guys to pop, and they haven't. When I say pop, I mean like leave. And I think because no one has left, I don't think they can bring anyone in. So I'm interested to see. Greedy, that's right. Greedy's the biggest name, and Greedy ended up at USC. So shout out to Greedy. But yeah, Greedy's probably the biggest name since the last time we were on here. Greedy Vance for sure. And they probably still need more. They probably still need some more guys. So we'll see what we do. Joe says, how do I feel about DJU? I didn't watch the spring game. Well, I think DJ is DJ. Vendravius Jacobs too. Let's get into this portal talk. Let me talk about DJ. Look, I think people who are expecting DJU to come in and be something that he hasn't been in 4 years of college football, I think is, right. That's not gonna happen. Even in the spring game, where I don't take a ton out of the spring game, the man probably should have threw. You probably should have threw about, I think, at least 2 interceptions for sure. One that Marvin Jones Jr. Completely dropped, of all people. Marvin Jones Jr. was in a position for an interception, and one that AZ dropped. He's got to cut down on the turnovers. I'm not expecting this guy to go out here and throw for 4,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. As a matter of fact, as far as I'm concerned, if he can just give me if DJU, and I'm gonna look up his stats right now. I'm looking up his stats from Oregon State. Last year, DJ threw 2,600 yards, 21 TDs, and 7 picks. 2,638, 21 touchdowns, 70 with a QBR of 81. If he can keep the turnovers under single digits, if he can, give me 2,800 yards, 25 TDs, and keep your turnovers low. Like, that's about what I'm expecting from DJU. I'm not expecting some big time numbers. I think they will take their shots deep for sure. He obviously has the arm to take the deep shot. Watching DJ, I think he struggles with anything underneath. But again, man, if he can just not have a bunch of turnovers. I mean, you look at what he did at Clemson and you look at what he did at Oregon State, and I'm talking about his last year at Clemson and this last year at Oregon State, almost identical. At Oregon State, he averaged more yards per pass, but he also had a worse completion percentage. All the other stats almost mirror each other. Now, at Clemson, however, he was sacked twice as much as he was sacked at Oregon State. If FSU can keep him upright, again, give me between that 2,600 yards, 20 plus, 20. I'm thinking 25 TDs plus. Again, under double-digit turnovers. He ran for 200. He had 16 touchdowns on the ground. I expect something similar like that. He actually ran for 500 yards at Clemson with 7 touchdowns. Like, maybe some of that, you sprinkle some of that in this game for sure, right? But I'm not expecting a bunch at it. Like, I'm just not expecting him to carry the weight of the world. But that's just me. I'm trying to say that to say I like DJ, or I like how he could potentially be used with Mike Norvell. And if they can find a way to really, I'm intrigued by it. But from Jump Street, I told you guys, like, it was Cam Ward for me. But I'm not going to be upset about DJ because, and they've added the weapons around him, and we'll just see how it ends up playing out. But yes, Greedy advances to USC. This one was kind of sad for me, man. I think this kid is talented. I think Vandrevius Jacobs has a future, a bright future. We'll see where he ends up. I understand, though, that maybe like a Jaylen Brown just took those snaps. Maybe a Camden Fryer came in and just what happens is you get guys, they brought in guys, and you get pushed down the depth chart. And it is what it is for Vandrevius Jacobs. It sucks to see him go, but it's not somebody that was impactful. if you're going to leave, I think he's leaving at the right time. Leave when you're still young. You can go somewhere else, still develop, and have a solid career. So shout out to Jacobs. I would have liked for him to stay, obviously, but wide receiver is a room that I'm not quite worried about at this time. Yes, I'm aware that we didn't attack the portal in the first week because of the sanctions. I just thought we'd have more people leave the transfer portal or leave the team for the portal. I think a school trying to play safe. If we get any player from the portal, people would say we tampering during their suspension. NCAA stupid penalty BS. I'm fine with DJ. Use the wide receivers you're worried about. DJ gonna ball out. He's happy to be a Nole. Jordan had 7 picks in 2 years. I don't think we need the portal that strong this year. Our team will be a bully. Do you think Darius Washington could? Yes. Shout out to Clay. I think his name is Clay Fink. Anyway, he's on Twitter. And Clay Fink put out he thinks Darius Washington might just flat out be the best player on this entire team. And I sat down, I looked at it, and I said, you know what? Clay Fink might be 100% right. Darius Washington might be the best player on the entire football team. He might be the best football player we got on the team. When you look at it, now the only other person that I would argue, I mean, I won't say the only other person, but Pat has an argument. AZ definitely has an argument. The only other person that I would say that you could argue for sure, Joshua Farmer, I think, has a legit argument to be the best player on the team. But after this, Darius Washington, he's the man. It might be Alex Atkins' first guy drafted. Right? Am I right about that? Has Alex Atkins had a guy drafted yet? An offensive lineman drafted? Let somebody let me know. DJ gonna shock me? I mean, I ain't gonna be mad at it. I hope he shocked me. Hell, I hope DJ go up there, throw for 5,000 yards, 82 touchdowns, wins the Heisman, and you already know. I'm just, being realistic in my eyes, right? But I hope he does shock me. I really do. I just don't think all of a sudden, when you look at a guy whose career numbers are 2,200 yards, 2,500 yards, 2,600 yards, that all of a sudden, right, he's going to boom into like a 3,000-yard passer with 30 TDs when it's, again, TDs, 9 in his first year, his true first year as a starter, 9. I'm not really counting that freshman COVID year. Like, if I really wanted to skew the numbers in DJ's favor, I would add the freshman year, but I'm not even going to do that, right? I'm talking about since he really became the starter. Year 1, he was 9 of 10. 9 TDs, 10 interceptions in his first year playing. 2,200 yards. Second year, 2,500 yards, 22 TDs. And then in his third year, 2,600 yards, 21 TDs, 7 interceptions. So the numbers say he is what he is. When we talk about guys and we say, well, he is what he is, the stats don't show a huge increase over DJU's time. Now, to be fair to DJU, Clemson did him no favors. I believe, I don't know, how many different old coordinators did Clemson give him to work with? And then by the end of his tenure at Clemson, they wanted Klubnik. Then he goes to Oregon State, which was his choice. So we had another offensive coordinator. And now he's at Florida State. Again, his choice, so we'll have another offensive coordinator. We'll see what he ends up being. The numbers simply say he is what he is at this point. Wheezy and Fryer, yeah. I hope Elijah Morris surprises in fall camp. This year will be smash mouth. I agree. I think the identity of this team will definitely be. I think it was Matt. I got to keep giving credit to Matt J. I think he's the one that said it in the chat the last time or the 2 lives ago. But this team, I think, will resemble the 22 team, just with probably a better defense and better weapons on the outside. Because you look at 22 team outside of Johnny. Well, Johnny and Ontario were a solid 1-2. But I think this team is going to be like the 22 team in terms of the play style. More run focused. I think the defense will be better. I think they'll have better athletes on the outside. So they say no. Yeah, Alex Atkins hasn't had a guy drafted. I think Darius would definitely be the first. DJU is about to pull a Jerry Jones and Bloom out of nowhere. Hey, I'm with it. I don't know about the 6K and 50, but I hear you, Joe. I hear you. Mike gonna coach Jit up. I think he looked very good. I'm excited for Jackson. I'm excited for his future. I'm excited for his future. Trevor Jackson, I said it on the last live stream. Don't be surprised. Like, I know Luke Hoke is the guy. I'm just saying. It wouldn't shock me if Jackson's the best out of the bunch. That's not a knock on Luke or Brock Glenn. I just like what I saw of him. As a true freshman walk-on being put in that situation. We'll see. And is Micah Pittman still in college? He could have got drafted. Micah Pittman. I remember him. That's a great question. I don't know what happened with Micah Pittman. He transferred from Utah. He transferred to Utah, and I believe he transferred from Utah. So I don't know what is going on actually with Micah Pittman. I don't know where he is. I'm going to look him up real quick, though. Micah Pittman. It lists that he still plays for the Utes. But I thought I remember seeing him transfer from them. But I guess I may be wrong. But it says he's still in Utah. The way the draft went for us, we most definitely got something to sell. High-level recruits. Trevor Ejit from Duval's the future. Micah got injured. He's healthy now. He's at Utah still. Yeah, he's listed still at Utah. So the portal is portaling. At Florida State isn't really active in it. We may not be active in it. It's going to be interesting to see where this thing finishes. There are some things I think Florida State could add, but maybe we don't. Maybe we stick with what we got and go from there. I'm trying to think of what else. I know Miami added a guy. Colorado's been adding some portal additions since we're just talking portal. I'm trying to think of some more topics. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Maybe not. Yeah, I mean, that I know Colorado added a few guys. A lot's been going on. Look, I'll dig into this. I don't think I've given my thoughts on the Colorado thing. So I was going to talk about what's your thoughts on the Cromani and his antics. I was going to talk about not so much Cromartie, more so Colorado, because Cromartie McClain, and you guys know I don't like calling these kids. I believe they're young adults, and you get paid like a young adult. It's time to start acting like a young adult when a lot of money becomes involved. But if I just give my thoughts on all of this stuff, just the transfer portal, the way Colorado's handling the transfer portal, like when I talk about this stuff, I legitimately don't talk about it in a way that I want to hate on Deion Sanders. I know people will say you just hating on Deion, but I don't know how you can legitimately look at the way this thing shakes out and defend Deion Sanders. If you're a Deion fan, man, be a Deion fan. Cromani, did he make a mistake? Yeah, I think he did. I think Money had no reason to ever go to Colorado other than to go play for the clicks. The same thing he said in the thing where he says, I don't want to play for clicks anymore. I want to da 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 da. Well, that's what you originally signed up for. God forbid me say anything nice about the Hurricanes, but the man should have stayed and went to Miami. That's just what he should have did. That's just what he should have did. Instead, you go to a place that's all about the show. They still haven't shown much of any substance, so it's all a show. And then come to find out, he's not doing well up there. Okay, that happens. Kids go places, or young adults go places. They don't always pan out. There's a lot of different distractions, obviously, in Colorado with Dion being there and all that stuff. So it didn't work out. Of course, a 19-year-old is going to have something to say about it. My only problem with Cromani is he had no business being in that Twitter space trying to justify to a bunch of 30-year-old men what he did. And all those 30-year-old men in that Twitter space saying F you money, basically talking shit to a 19-year-old because he wants to go somewhere else, I thought was one of the biggest clown shows I've ever seen. And it's 2024 and the internet has been around a while. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff. From a college football perspective, I thought Money being in spaces with a bunch of so-called Colorado fans who were tearing him down and he's trying to justify himself, I thought was unnecessary. Somebody should have stopped him from doing that. Outside of that, I don't have a problem with Cromani McClain doing what he's doing. He's got to do what's best for him. He initially made the wrong decision. I think he understands that. My problem is with the coach. Why are you going back and forth as a 56-year-old man? I believe Deion's 56. I think Deion is damn near 60 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody can fact check me. I know he's in his 50s. I think he's 50 freaking 6. And you going back and forth with a 19-year-old on social media. And that's just that situation. We ain't talking about other Colorado coaches continuously shitting on kids that decide to leave for the transfer portal. So the kids that leave for the portal are quitters. I say this to fans all the time. Y'all call the kids that leave your school a quitter. But the guys that you're getting out of the portal aren't quitters, but they quit on their previous institution. That's my problem with Colorado. I believe it's a clown show from top to bottom. Why is Colorado coaches trying to spin a narrative on kids? Who gives a damn? Wish them the best and go on about your business. They feel the need to justify every time a guy leaves. He don't want to compete. He a quitter, X, Y, and Z. But they continuously bringing in guys out of the portal. That's my issue with what's going on in Boulder, Colorado. And the head coach is right there he's right in the mix with all of it. Hope that answered your question, Joe. What position do we need in the portal? I still say we need to add another defensive tackle. That's just me. Your thoughts on hearing Shedeur first pick next year? He has a great chance. Shedeur Sanders has a great chance to be the number 1 pick. I'm interested to see how it plays out. Them dude in that chat room was lame as hell and corny. 56-year-old father. It's crazy, Terrell. It's honestly crazy. Colorado will be extremely exposed, more than they are already, when Shedeur and Travis are gone. Polk, you are absolutely right on the Colorado situation. And Jeremy says all of them. I just don't understand what's going on at Colorado. We'll see how it plays out, though, obviously. They have a lot of guys leaving. They got a lot of guys coming in. I don't think you can build a team like that. Not because I don't think you could use the portal to build a team, but like I've always said, cohesion is a big part of a team, right? You have unwritten rules. You have things that don't need to be said when on the football field. The best teams function out of just muscle memory and just knowing what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. There's no way Colorado can feasibly put all of that together when it's a revolving door through that program. I said this from day one about Deion, and everybody told me I was a hater. You don't know what you're talking about. He's prime time. He's prime time for sure. And Colorado's benefiting from the magnifying glass that's on that program. Abso-freaking-lutely. Pretty sure they're generating a ton of money. But if we're talking just strictly football, I don't see how any of these kids are benefiting from being at that program. I mean, they lost a running back who came as a true freshman, and I thought he fit right in with the program, but he don't want to be there. They did get a running back out of Ohio State. We'll see how he pans out for them. In my opinion, man, what was a very fun situation to initially watch. I honestly, and I say this wholeheartedly, I don't even like talking about it as much as I initially did, because I don't like what I'm seeing. I hate the word toxic because we use toxic so much in today's climate, but I legitimately feel like that is a toxic situation in Colorado. And people will say I'm overreacting, but but when I watch the coaches act the way they act, when I watch the head coach act the way he acts, completely diminish football players in front of a live mic and camera, when he goes, "Who did we lose? We ain't lose nothing. Check your sort." I do not. I don't know how a parent would send your kid to play for that. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. But that gets me to another topic that I want to hit here. But let me get to the comments, because what we don't talk about in this transfer portal business are the parents and how terrible they are. I got a couple comments I want to check out. Look, Deion Sanders' daughter is in the same situation, entering the portal and get called stupid. Went to Alabama A&M. I don't know why she went there. Could go anywhere. I didn't know she was in the portal. No way in hell you can build a team like that. No damn way. Deion taking anybody, even if the players don't fit chemistry-wise. Too many egos. He bound to fail coaching at the collegiate level. POLK, how do you say go Canes in Korean? I'm glad you asked that, John. I actually have a Korean video saying go Canes. Let me show you. I got two. Oh no. Oh no. So you can either say, oh no, that's how you say go Canes in Korean. But the more popular way to say go Canes in Korea is this. Shout out to you, John. Yeah, it was weird the way Deion talked about his daughter transferring too, especially when you actually watch women's college basketball this year. Deion is becoming selfish. Straight facts. The dude's attacking me, saying I'm black man attacking another. That has got nothing, bro. First of all, they don't even like Deion because he's black. They like Deion because he's Deion. They treat Deion like he's the first black college coach ever. Last time I checked, there's a whole bunch of black college coaches out there that don't get y'all support. So don't let that worry you about, you. They only like Deion because his name is Deion Sanders. Because I don't see Notre Dame's head coach having the cult-like following and all the support, and he's at freaking Notre Dame. So, or what about Loxley up there at Maryland? I don't see people going to bat for him. So we can go down the list of black coaches that don't get the same support. It has nothing to do with Deion being black. It's everything with Deion being Deion. They just use that because they have no other argument. What's up, Champs 99? I'm stuck in Korea, big dog. I'm not going to any games this year. So no, I wish I would. I would have made the SMU game easy. That's in Dallas. I live in Texas. But no, I am stuck here in the country of Korea. Dino Babers is another one. I didn't see the support for Dino. He at Syracuse. He could have used all the support he could get. So we can go down the list. We can go down the list. The part I wanted to talk about before I started reading the comments. I'm gonna tie some things together and you kind of see where I'm going. So recently, this whole Nickelodeon thing has surfaced about what was going on at Nickelodeon with the kids that work there, right? And in the entertainment business, we've kind of always known this to be a thing. Like all of this stuff, so for some reason, it's crazy that in 2024, all of this stuff is getting exposed with Diddy. But even the R. Kelly thing, which was a couple years ago, but now the Nickelodeon thing has surfaced. And again, you guys see where I'm going. I know this is a little off take, but y'all will see where I'm going here. In the entertainment industry, it's always been known that like kids get exploited. Some worse than others, obviously. But what never gets talked about, in my opinion, are the parents. And how does your child go through what they go through and the parent have zero idea of what's going on? I've always said this, and I'll continue to say it, and I'm going to link it to college football here in a second. I wish we could get parents on the stand and figure out how many of them turned a blind eye for the check, knowing what was happening to their children. I say all of that to say college football is turning into a lot of that. Now, it's not to the extreme assault like Nickelodeon and all that, but you get what parents are selling their kids to the highest bidder in college football. And we're not picking schools based on fit, based on development, based on any of that. Who's got the highest? Who's giving out the most NIL? And the parents are, in a lot of ways, the main factor in all of this. I hate to do this, but I believe Cromartie McLean's mom is one of the deciding factors in why he initially goes to Colorado. The parents in today's day and age are more on social media more than the kids. They are quick to jump in a Twitter live and talk about their child, get on the social media and talk about their kid. Hell, jump in a YouTube chat and start talking about their children. All to sell. Bro, I talked about it last year. One of the most uncomfortable things I listened to was a Twitter space. If y'all remember the tight end that eventually went to UCF. What is it? It was his name, Kylan Fox. I believe that was his name. If y'all remember him, he ended up going to UCF. Yeah, Kylan Fox, tight end. Moms legit got into a Twitter space and talked about how she was pimping her son. And she thought everything about it was cool and fun. Like, she talked about it as if it was not a big deal. She legitimately got in the Twitter space and said, I don't remember everything that was said verbatim, but basically, like, we wasn't giving nobody no attention unless there was a check involved first. Come on. That's one of the biggest issues right now that's I'm seeing going on in the sport. I'm not saying it hasn't always been a thing, but as NIL has continued to grow, I think these backdoor dealings have continued to get a light shed on them as well. And the parents, because of social media, are more outgoing with it than before. Do I think before stuff like this was happening? Sure. Let me go talk to mom. We'll pay your mortgage and get your kid to come here. Yeah, absolutely, that stuff was happening. I'm not naive to think that it never happened before. But but the parents aren't even trying to hide it anymore. The parents are out there actively pimping their kids. Because there's no way you look at the Colorado situation and you go, yeah, I want my kid to be in that environment. There's no way. Zero. Nada. Let me get to the comment section. So I kind of wanted to give my thoughts on that. And because that's what I believe. I honestly believe that. So I just kind of wanted to give my 2 cents on this whole, just the way this stuff is playing out. It's not something that I think is if you notice why I don't talk too much about recruiting no more, it's not really that fun to partake in. By the time I get back, I'll be back in time most likely for actually a few games. I just don't know. You got to remember, I'm making the transition back to the States. I don't know if I'll have the time to actually go to a game. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I doubt it, though. It's not the extreme assault stuff, like you said, unless it's Northwestern. Wow. Right, it's not that stuff, but you guys understand. I think do my best to try to make you understand what I'm talking about. These parents have a lot to do with what's going on with their kids. And so we jump on Cromartie McClain and we go, look at Cromartie McClain and his antics. And we don't talk about what led to all of this. No, educate. I mean, to be fair, for most high-tier athletes, now I say high-tier athletes, education, and I say most, so I'm speaking in general, most athletes weren't choosing their school for education. But now, John, it's not even for the development. Why the heck? It seems like I'm still picking on Dion, but I got to be honest. Who's Dion developed? The whole point of Cromartie going there was I'm gonna get developed by the best DB that ever lived, and no one's ever can't take that away from Deion Sanders. But who's he developed? Who's he developed? And kids are picking schools now that have a history of not developing anything, but the NIL bag clears. Pimping ain't easy. It sure ain't. POLK, these colleges about to see how the NFL coaches feel when they have to deal or try to coach players with money. Travis Hunter, has he developed that? I mean, we'll see. We will see where Travis Hunter gets drafted. Here's my question, Terrell. Do you think he's a receiver or a DB? No, it's not a wrong choice. Travis Hunter is naturally gifted. He's just naturally like that. But if Travis Hunter had picked Georgia, let's just say for a sake of argument, we can even take Florida State out of it. Because remember, you're talking about a guy who was supposed to be a DB. He was a corner. Do you think at Georgia he's playing corner right now or wide receiver? Right. We'll see. To be honest with you, Shedeur, the DB coach, has put all that effort and resources into Shedeur Sanders. And don't get me wrong, he should have. I've never had a problem with Deion doing what is best for his kids. The problem for me, it feels like Deion has done what's best for his kids at the expense of everybody else's, in my humble opinion. And that's just a perception that I get when I watch it. Yeah, everybody's saying wide receiver, but you went to play for Deion to be what? A corner. So it just is what it is. Again, I'm not trying to pick on Deion Sanders. I know it sounds like it. But the Colorado stuff really bothers me. It's to the point where it's not even fun to like talk about it. But I have to talk about it because that's why y'all came here. Y'all came here to listen to me talk about that, man. Hit the like button, please. Share the video. I'm not even checking lights because I'm just talking to y'all right now. We just chopping it up. And that's what we do over here, just have conversations. So, I mean, it's just the way the game played out with Colorado. And I still think he's gone. He claimed, I think Dion actually put out, a statement that claims he's not leaving after his kids leave. I'll be interested to see how he. I'll be interested to see once Travis Hunter leaves, once Shadur leaves. I'm interested to see how he goes on from that. Because again, if he had intentions of being there long term, he would build the roster in a more traditional way. Again, I'm not saying ignore the transfer portal. I'll never tell you that. But did you see his last recruiting class? I think he signed 6 players. Deion Sanders signed 6 players out of his last high school recruiting class. Deion Sanders said he doesn't do in-home visits. Probably the most crucial part of recruiting that seals the deal is the in-home visit. And Deion says he don't do those. How do you take this man serious? But I'm just a hater. The only reason I brought it up was again because when the stuff like when these things about Nickelodeon and the R. Kelly situation. I mean, even Aaliyah. I don't know if y'all remember how young Aaliyah was when like she was getting passed around the industry. Very disturbing to think of. But the reason I bring that up is again, I know it's like an extreme example, but I bring it up to say, where are the parents in all of this? And how many parents of these kids knew? And they did this. They turned. Just counted the money. Because a lot more parents should be being held accountable for what happened to their children than obviously the person that did it deserves all the whatever happens to him, right? Burn in hell, right? But the parents deserve a lot more criticism than I think that we give them. And I get it, man. You're poor. You come from messed up situations. I get all that. But at what point do we not sell ourselves or sell our children, sell our own souls for a paycheck? And paycheck that probably half of those parents don't even get the money. They probably spent all that. You feel me? That's the only reason why I brought up the Nickelodeon thing. Absolutely, they definitely will be on prime time because you gotta watch it. I'm gonna watch it. You gonna watch some? I will say this: that Colorado and Stanford? One of the most exciting games, if not the most exciting game you can watch last year. Won't deny that 1 second. Colorado will be must-see TV. What do you think Deion's Colorado record will be at this season? Ooh, great question. I want to say, I think I said before, I think you go into the Big 12, I guess it should be an easier schedule than what you had last year, I would assume. I think he said it at the spring game. I listened to the introductory to the spring game. At least it was playing in the background. I think he said the goal is to get to a bowl. So if he can win 6 games, I guess that's a success. Granted, if you have the number 1 quarterback in the country and you have another top 15 player in Travis Hunter, and maybe if you focus him more on offense, if I'm Deion, just try to if you can just try to outscore everybody, maybe you can win 7, 8, 9 games. I mean, again, I don't think the schedule is complete. There's not an Oregon on their schedule this year or anything like that. As a matter of fact, let me look at Colorado's record. Look at their schedule. Hold on. I'm not gonna lie. North Dakota State is a iffy game. If you don't know anything about North Dakota State, they've like only dominated that level of football. They have like one of the best football programs in the country. That's an iffy first game. But you got them, you got Nebraska, Colorado State, Baylor, UCF. If I'm Cromartie, I go to UCF so we can run it back. So yeah, you look at their schedule, man. There's no Oregon on the schedule. There's no USC, even though USC was not very good last year. But they do have Utah, Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, UCF. I think it's a much more manageable schedule this year for Colorado. I don't think game one's a gimme though. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't think game one's a gimme at all. If y'all don't know anything about North Dakota State, go check them out. Them Bisons are the real deal. Nebraska is an interesting game. We'll see. I wouldn't schedule them, especially as an up and coming team. I wouldn't schedule them. That's a tough first game. Good game. That would be fun to watch though. How did you feel about the Haney fight? Oh my God. We're gonna talk a little bit of boxing. I was shocked Haney's defense was so bad. He did respect the hook, even though he said it's all Garcia had. I'm not going to talk about the fight per se. We all saw the fight. Devin needs to fire his dad. That's what I'll say. At a certain point, you got to. The biggest problem with that fight for me, and you kind of said it there, is you knew what Ryan was and you didn't game plan. You went in there and tried to fight. You went in there and tried to fight Ryan instead of box Ryan. And you had no adjustments. You didn't adjust one time. Because truthfully, about rounds, I think Ryan came out and I think he rocked Dev in the first round. But rounds 2 through 5 or 2 through 6, Devin's outboxing Ryan Garcia for the most part. And then Ryan just started touching that damn chin. And every time he touched that chin, Devin was drunk. Yeah. We know Devin has offense in terms of his boxing. He's not going to knock too many guys out. But if you're not going to have stopping power offensively, then your defense needs to be tier 1. You got to fire his dad. He needs a trainer that's going to teach him some defense. That's going to switch the game plan up. I was shocked that Dev got his ass beat the way he got. I'm not going to lie to you. That was crazy to me. A shout out to Ryan Garcia. I still think he's an internet fighter, Instagram fighter. And I'll be honest with y'all. I still want to see this motherfucker fight somebody. But Tank looks like the baddest dude 140 and below. Tank looks like the baddest dude 140 and below. Like not even close. Tank looks like maybe Tank and Shakur. If we ever get a chance to see that, I don't think we ever will. Yeah, you keep Haney away from Tank. Keep Haney away from Tank. Keep him away from Hank. And speaking of Ryan Garcia, he was actually at Colorado spring game. He was at Colorado. So do I think Bill Haney compares to Dion in a way? Whew, that's a little bit tougher because I'm going to say no. And here's why I'm going to say no. If you look at most father son boxing relationships, they're all very similar to Bill Haney. You know why? Because Bill only has to worry about Dev. That's his only priority. His son, for better or worse, I mean, look at Teofimo and his father's relation. Like, Bill only has to worry about Dev. The problem with Dion is he doesn't just. Shadur is one person out of an 85-man roster. Shiloh is two people out of an 85-man roster. You get what I'm going with that? Dion has a lot of more people relying on him than Bill does. Bill's got to worry about his son. Dion has to worry about the entire roster. That's the difference. Yeah, every time Brian touched his chin, the boy couldn't walk straight. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah, keep him away from Tank. I think Tank to me looks far and away the best guy at that weight, at those weights, 140 and below. I still want to see Tank fight a big name, though. I mean, I guess technically you could say Ryan Garcia was a big name. But that fight kind of went how we expected. I wonder if Tank and Ryan ever run it back. So, yeah. I still like Dev. I want to be very clear. Like, I still like Dev. I'm still rooting for Dev, but he's got to make some changes in his camp. He's got to make some changes in the camp. Got to make some changes in his camp. We are at 2 hours and 8, and I'm still good if y'all want to keep going. Y'all can ask some more questions. But we covered the draft. We covered the portal. We've covered it all here tonight. So we can cut it short, or we can just keep kicking it as far as I'm concerned. It's late for y'all. It's early in the morning. What time is it for me? It is, well, it's noon for me. So speaking of that, let's check on the Laker game. I didn't even think to check on the Laker game. Lakers were blowing the Nuggets out last time I checked. And I don't know what the score is. Is the game over? Great question. I'm not going to look at the comments because I don't want y'all to ruin it for me. Let's see what's going on. If I can find. Yes, there it is. Look, man, trying to navigate. Okay, Lakers won 119 to 108, so they avoid the sweep. Shout out to the Lakers. I mean, they're still, they ain't coming back from a 3-0, but they do avoid the sweep. They do avoid the sweep. LeBron James went for 30, 5 and 4. AD had 25 with 23 rebounds and 6 assists. AD's been the best player for the Lakers in this entire series. But they got 21 out of Russell and 21 out of Reeves. That's why they won. And Russell was 50% on his threes. So all you Lakers fans, y'all get to win another day. Y'all get to last another day. Lawsuit. All I know is the Florida Attorney General has sued the ACC. Obviously, Clemson has now sued the ACC. We'll see what happens. It's going to end. The question isn't if Florida State leaves, it's when. And the question, I don't believe, is if FSU has an exit fee, it's how much. So we can talk about the lawsuit. Good night, John. Thank you for coming through. You got to hit up a Knicks game, and I definitely got to hit up a Knicks game. Absolutely got to go to a Knicks game one of these days. Knicks up 2-1, by the way. But as far as the lawsuit goes, like I don't talk too much about it, man, because I'm not a lawyer, and honestly, I haven't been following it. Like I follow it very loosely, just because I'm not interested in like the whole legal jargon of of it. To be quite honest with you, I'm really not. I just have an understanding of who's suing who, kind of a loose understanding of like kind of like what they're suing for. Like I think recently, I could be wrong, but I think the attorney general has basically demanded that the ACC show, I think, the contract. Like I think that's been a real big talking point in this whole process, is getting the ACC to actually show the grant of rights. That the ACC is like locked the grant of rights in like a Fort Knox level vault and refuse to actually show the documentation. And I think that's one of the things that they're suing for. But again, I don't follow it that close, to be quite honest with you, because my expectation, regardless, is that FSU will not be in this conference. This may very well be the last year in this conference in 2024. Latest, I think, is 26. FSU's out. Earliest, obviously, is 25. Obviously, it won't be this upcoming season. 25, 26 is probably when FSU's out the door. The question is just going to be how much is the buyout. If FSU can somehow prove that, like, and this is where I don't want to sound like I know a lot, or I don't want to be mistaken here, but if FSU can prove that the ACC did things without the consent, I guess, of other members or whatever they're trying to prove, then maybe they get out of there scotch-free. I think it's highly doubtful that the ACC lets Florida State off the hook. Though I did hear a scenario where Florida State leaves the ACC for the SEC. Ooh, excuse me. But ultimately, you're still staying under the ESPN umbrella. I'm not even sure. I think when Florida State cuts bait, it's probably cutting bait with ESPN as well, which is why I think the Big Ten continues to make the most sense for when FSU gets up out of here. How much are those media rights worth? Probably a pretty penny. You know what I'm saying? Probably a penny. I'm not sure. Which is why I think the original, like people were talking like 500 mil to get out of the grant of rights or whatever it was. I think Florida State would end up playing significantly less, but still more money than me or you could afford, right? So probably like they'll still probably pay like upwards of 100 million to get out, but that's significantly less, right, than what the original price was. So that, those rights fall in that. Yeah, I think so. I think that lawsuit is going to be a long, drawn out process. Okay, so Insane then changed up his look. Oh, shoot, hold on. I'm with it. I feel it. Got Bart Simpson in the FSU gear. Preseason top 10 or 15, 25. Definitely preseason top 25. If I was ranking Florida State right now, and again, this isn't even based on the preseason, just based on like what you got coming back, what you added, I would have Florida State at, you know what? I like the number that Verse got drafted at. I would have Florida State at 19. Right inside the top 20. I still think there's some questions. I don't want to go like crazy top 10 stuff right now. But if you told me 19, I'm cool with that. Can't wait for the college football. I'm waiting to see some gameplay or something on that. Thank you, Grill Master. I know it's getting late over there. Well, what? It's only 10 o'clock, I think, on the Central Time. It's about 11 o'clock Eastern. Got you, bro. I got you. Do you think we make the playoffs this year? Record? I don't know. It's a 12-team playoff? So honestly, you probably should be at least making the playoff as like a wild card or however that however that's gonna work out. Where's my water? I think I said it before, and I'll say it again. I think FSU's floor is 3 games. Ceiling is a floor, not 3 games, 3 losses. Sorry. So I think worst case scenario, FSU loses 3 games. Best case scenario, I will say, what, 12-1, 11-1, or whatever that is. I still think it's hard to go back undefeated. I'm not saying another 13-0 season, right? But 12-1 makes a lot of sense to me. 11-2 and 10-3 all make a lot of sense to me. What's it like in Korea? What specifically are you asking? Korea is very Americanized, but obviously they have their own culture and do things their own way. I would say it's not bad though. It's okay. It's okay, right? Uh, the weather here is we're transitioning into spring. So the winter was pretty cold. It snowed. Wasn't a fan of the winter. Apparently, the summer sucks worse than the winter because it's very humid here. So Korea is a peninsula, just like Florida. I told people that I'm used to the humidity and that I'll be fine. But apparently they're saying it's terrible. So we'll see how the summer plays out. But the weather right now in the spring has been very nice. Highs have been like 79. I think Korea is more for the young people. A lot of clubs and stuff like that. I'm kind of past that point in my old age. So yeah, Korea's not a bad destination though. Great question. And I really haven't given any thought. But off the top of my head, I would say no. Like, I put FSU at 19. Like, what did Clemson show you? Let's put Clemson just because I think Clemson was still like a 10-win team last year or something like that. Even with, a down year. I would throw Clemson in the top 25, but I'd have them behind Florida State. And outside of that, I wouldn't rank another ACC team because none another ACC team deserves to be ranked. Clemson finished 9-4. My mistakes. That's still a good season. I mean, 9-4 is still a solid season. So yeah, I would have Clemson in the top 25, maybe 24-3. I think the only reason I have FSU at 19, I think we're losing. Bro, we just had 10 guys drafted to the NFL. That's awesome, but we losing a lot. I want to see, hard for me to go. That's why we had them ranked so high last year because we was bringing all of that back, and it lived up to the expectation. Well, we're losing all of that, so I'm interested to see how we replace it. So I can't really give them like a top 10. So 19 is a solid ranking for me. It's a preseason ranking anyway. They don't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. Clemson, I'd have them behind us. And then again, there's not another ACC team that I would even have ranked. Do we play for the – I think so. Absolutely, I think so. Do we really think FSU has a QB? We have a QB now. Again, what kind of QB? We absolutely have a quarterback. Lewis, the question for you is, what are your expectations? I've been in Korea since February. I haven't started doing streams until last week. Last week was my first stream, so I'm getting back in the groove, Joe. I was gone for about 2 or 3 months, somewhere around there. Tay Cowboys says, how did the Cowboys draft? I think some Cowboy fans said they thought their draft was solid. Not great, but solid, I guess. Got you. I was talking about culture. The culture is interesting. It's Koreans are very stay away from North Korea. Yeah. Koreans are very friendly, a lot more friendlier than Americans. But they're also it's one of the big culture differences or cultural shocks you'll kind of run into in Korea is they don't really have much of a sense of like, how do I phrase? Example, in America, you're walking down the sidewalk. You make way for each other to pass you, right? There's this game of chicken that'll get played. Eventually, somebody like it's just the thing to do. In Korea, dog, they just walk. You better make your own way because Koreans aren't moving for you. If you go to like the Korean barbecue joints and you're standing in line, the truth is there's not really a line. You just get in there and get your stuff. Like I'm standing in line one time waiting to like get me some rice or something, and you can tell who's American and who's not, or who's new to the country because old Korean lady just walked right in front of me and like got her joint, and I'm just sitting there like, and then they just kept doing it. You just got to get in there and get yours. But they're nice. They're polite people. From my interactions. But that's probably the biggest thing I've taken away is like their culture is just like, hey man, get in how you fit in kind of a deal. Stay away from North Korea. Oh, we read that one. Clemson 1-9. We need more players to jump in that portal so Norville can get more players out of that portal. Wonder how Jaheim Bell feels about leaving early for the draft and not. Jaheim Bell did get drafted, champ. He got drafted to the Patriots. He got drafted to the Patriots, number 231 in the 7th round. Jaheim Bell, as a matter of fact, I even got the graphic. Jaheim Bell absolutely got drafted. There you go. Anyway, we went straight trenches. That's not a bad way to build a team. We all want that natty. Spatial awareness. Sounds like New York. You know, I've been to New York, though. And yeah, New Yorkers are kind of like that, but not to the degree that I'm talking about. Like, you kind of just have to experience it to kind of understand what I'm talking about. Because I have been to New York, too, and they just walk to. New Yorkers just go. You better do what you do or get out the way. You're absolutely right. It's a little different though. Like even on like the subways, like somebody said, spatial awareness. Like there's no personal space to a Korean. They will be all up in here for you. Like they won't even try to like give you like a comfortable space. They're just here. Like yes, there's a lot of things that would have gotten checked in America, but you know, when you're in a different country, you just do as they do, as they say. It's been a cool experience, though. This is my first time here, so it's been a cool experience. I don't want to come back. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to come back. When do I get back? Somewhere around mid-season. I don't know exactly when I'll be back, but I know I'll be back somewhere around mid-season potentially. That's not even 100% in the books. So kind of hard to wrap my head around. Yeah, you would fall in line. Not saying it to make you comfortable, but again, like you don't want to be that guy. um, I'm not saying you get used to it, but you just kind of whatever, you just kind of like okay, this is their again culture. This is just how they are. Um, Another thing is they are friendly, but they also are very direct. Like they very friendly. They talk, hello, how you do, all that stuff. But like when you go to bag your stuff, like if you go to the store or something, they'll like take the stuff out of your hand and put it in the bag for you, and it'll throw you off. Like I've had plenty of times where I'm like, this lady just snatched this thing out of my hand, but I just say to myself, either it's just because they do Americans like that, or that's just how they are. I don't know. Koreans kind of are funny. Koreans are definitely funny. I'll say that much. How long to that retirement? October. I got 5 more years in October. I have not been to Japan, but Japan is only like a 30-minute flight from here or something like that. Japan's not far from here. That's the place I want to go, but I can't leave. I want to beat UF again. We're going to beat them. As far as rushing the field, go for it. They do sell Hennessy. Do they have weed? I don't know. I'm not have not ingratiated myself into the Korean drug trade, right? So I don't know. Um, I don't know what the what that world looks like. But as far as alcohol, they absolutely have the same alcohol we have. They actually have. I don't know if anybody's ever had soju. Interesting stuff. Um, I like but don't like soju. I like soju because you can drink a decent amount of it and get buzzed, but I have yet to get drunk off of that stuff. I get a pretty decent buzz. The problem I have with soju is it gives me a crazy headache. I think it's like a rice alcohol. It gives me I don't like the headaches. I'm not a person that drinks white liquor much anyway. I think that has something to do with it. Um, so I have my soju in small amounts. I'm a brown alcohol mostly type of guy. Um, then they also have Korean whiskeys and Korean cognacs that I want to see if I can grab me a couple bottles of those and bring them back with me. Definitely want to grab me a couple authentic Korean alcohol and bring them back. Not just the soju, but some other stuff. But soju is a solid drink if you've had it before. If you're not careful, it'll definitely creep up on you. They be trying to play mind games with me, man. I think the Koreans do Americans like that, but I don't know. Do they have mushu like Chris Tucker said? I think that's Chinese, big dog. What they have here is they have kimchi, which is a fermented cabbage. Um, they have bulgogi, which is like beef, type of beef. Um, I'm not much of a kimchi guy. I'm not big on the old spoiled cabbage. The smell is strong. I wouldn't say the smell stinks, but it's a strong, almost vinegary, like strong vinegar smell. If you've ever had kimchi, some people love it. Again, it's not nasty, but it's not something that I'm just like, hey, let me get some of that kimchi. You feel me? I've had it. It's passable. Not something I'd eat. Um, Bulgogi's really good though. Absolutely. I will say this about Koreans. I don't know if it's just Koreans or Asians, but one thing that Koreans and Negroes got in common is they love them some fried chicken. Koreans can fry some chicken. Ooh, when I tell you Koreans can fry some chicken, they can fry some chicken. I've been eating a lot of fried chicken over here. Um, Koreans fry some chicken. Absolutely. Category says he's had soju. Drugs is a no-no in Korea. Do you not watch Locked Up Abroad? They have, because you get briefed here, right, about what not to do. Obviously, when you come to a place new, and I'm in the military, so they brief us on these are kind of the goes and no goes and what to watch out for. They do have a type of drug here, um, but not like the weed and stuff like we thinking. They have more of like meth stuff that they create themselves, and I forget the name of it. I think it's called like blue ice or something. I forget. They do have stuff here. It's just not. Again, I'm not involved in the drug world, so I don't know where to find it or any of that. But they do brief you on some things. Kimchi stinks. It does stink. Oh man, I tasted it kimchi before. It's not nasty, but again, it's not something that it ain't something that I'm trying to eat on a regular basis. If I'm being quite honest with you. So yeah, man, Korea's a cool place. You learn a lot, experience a lot. I ain't mad at it. Again, I probably wouldn't want to come back. Unless he want the weed. You want the weed, bro? Just stay in America, or I think Amsterdam is the place for you to go. Go to Europe, Amsterdam. That probably is the place. I want to try to go to Germany before I get out, because I hear Germany is the place to be. But yeah, Korea and the weed don't really mix. And I will tell you this too: if you're American, you don't go to Korean jail. Don't do it. Don't do it. I would love to go to Japan. Haven't been there yet. I do plan on going to Japan one of those days. Osan or I am 30 miles. If you know where Camp Casey is, that's where I'm at. 30 miles from the DMZ. What's up, Pat? It's been a minute. Ain't weed legal in Canada? I don't know. Is weed legal in Canada? I don't know. It might be. Yeah. Go to Canada. I don't know how y'all got me on here talking about weed. I don't even smoke weed. Y'all got me on here talking about drugs and alcohol. Well, alcohol, we partake in the adult beverage. Y'all got me on here talking about foolishness. I'm gonna tell you what else is a big thing over here in Korea. Sex trafficking. That's like one of the major things. And they tell you stay away from what they call these juicy girls. These juicy girls are essentially they are like these Filipino women that I'm pretty sure are sex trafficked over here, forced to work in the clubs, and they attempt to get Americans to like either pay them a lot of money for services, and some of them unfortunately will end up marrying these women and bringing them back to the States. Again, if you've ever lived in a military town, anybody who's ever lived in it, whether you're a military brat or you were served, if you ever lived in a town that's right off of an installation, what you ever asked yourself how all the Korean women and Asian women got here? Because they come from Korea. These American, they're usually white men. I'm just going to keep it a bean with you. Usually white dudes. These white dudes come over and they marry all the Asian women and take them back to America. But yeah. And it probably is an issue all over Asia, like the sex trafficking thing. But that it's definitely a thing here in Korea. So much so they have places, the Koreans have places that specifically say only American soldiers can enter because they're targeting us. Koreans aren't even allowed in some of these places. Like the local Koreans aren't allowed in some of these places because they got these massage parlors. You got these different places that specifically say only Americans or U.S. Army welcome. It's you got to be careful. You can end up in a situation for sure. The same women are in the Dominican Republic, but dudes really don't be caring for some reason. They don't care here either. Oh man, some of the stories, they don't care. I don't know how they don't care. But 20-year-old soldiers are disgusting human beings. I'll just tell you that. I'll just tell you that. Run. I don't have to run. I'm good. I don't partake in none of that. I'm good. Again, I'm 30 plus years old. Now, maybe if you caught me 10 years ago, no, even 10 years ago, I was still 26. Maybe if you caught me 15 years ago, maybe 21, 20-year-old Private Lopez. Well, I wasn't even in the Army when I was 20-year-old Private Lopez Private POLK, as you say, might have came to Korea and lost his mind. But this guy you see here now, bro, none of that stuff don't even interest me. Pat, aren't you a Cowboys fan? How you feel about your draft, Pat? Let's check my. What's this? Oh, what the hell? Oh man, I think with that being said, I think we're gonna call it a night on this end, or at least a day for me. A night for you guys, a day for me. I'm a Cowboys fan. We drafted 0 Noles. Hey man, everybody can't draft a Nole. Joe says my uncle was stationed in Korea and had some stories of dudes getting over there. Oh yes, I'm saying it can get crazy for sure. Fly Eagles fly. Want Dallas to draft Benson. Do you still leave Dak? Yeah. So with all that being said, y'all, we're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. We ended with some interesting Korean convo, and I appreciate everybody who tuned in. So don't be a stranger. Y'all continue to come back. Y'all already know what to do. Hit the like button on the way out if you didn't hit it on the way in. Share the video. Subscribe if for whatever reason you're not subscribed. Share the video. Let people continue to come over. Again, I told you I'm getting back in the groove, so I'm at least do one live stream a week. Usually, this is going to be the time. Saturday nights are probably going to be the best times for me to do these. Just look forward to these. Continue being every Saturday. Sunday for me, Saturday for y'all. And as always, man, this is your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles. And we are out here. Go Noles. And once again, I know we had some people that arrived late, so we're going to close with this. You have to watch Norvell's message after the draft. Okay? Norvell gave a message to all of the incoming players, the high school players, the portal players. 10 Noles drafted. So far, I believe 13 signed to NFL teams. And Norvell has something to say to those players. He had something to say to all the incoming guys to know that this in Tallahassee is where you want to be. So I'll play that on the way out. And y'all have a good rest of y'all's night. I'm out here.